Good morning and welcome to the quarterfinals of the Public Sector Debate Competition 2026. I am Tomika Gunmighty, Communications Specialist here at the Transformation Implementation Unit and host for today's match. Can you believe it? We are already at the quarterfinals. Yes, we are. The competition so far has delivered in both intellectual and entertainment value. Today, it intensifies as the top 8 teams take the floor once again, testing their research, reasoning, and persuasive skills in their quest to become the 2026 Public Sector Debate Champions. We're delighted to have you and extend a warm welcome to our virtual audience. Following a fiercely contested octafinals round, today we congratulate the 8 teams that have emerged triumphant. And now we stand just one step away from the semifinals. We extend our heartfelt thanks to the teams that left the competition in the octafinal round and urge you to stay tuned to the competition. Remember also that the fan favorite competition is still on, so rally your supporters to vote for you on Facebook and Instagram. Which teams will make it to the Final Four to battle it out on June 23? This deciding match between the team from the Jamaica Bauxite Mining Limited and the Ministry of Foreign Affairs will determine that. Let's get to meet these teams, starting with the team from the Jamaica Bauxite Mining Limited.
Good morning, I'm Douglas Walker, team captain.
Good morning, everyone. Alia Cunningham, JBM.
Good morning, Sondre Roden, JBM.
Thank you so much to the team from the Jamaica Bauxite Mining. We now turn our attention to the team from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Foreign Trade as they introduce themselves.
I am Jamil Deandra Chin, first speaker.
I am Dayton Thomas, second speaker.
I'm Scott Mullings, I'm the reply speaker.
Thank you so much to the team from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Foreign Trade. And continuing as our partners, our adjudicators for today's match are the persons from the Jamaica Association for Debating and Empowerment, JADE, and we ask our adjudicators to introduce themselves.
Thank you very much, Tomika. Good morning, everyone. I am Jermaine Barrett. I'm pleased to be serving this morning as the chair of this match. Best of luck to all teams.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Lacardiga Nelson. Congratulations to both teams on making this far, and all the best today's match.
Good morning. I'm Kenisha Nelson. I'll be one of your wing adjudicators for this match. Best of luck, teams.
Thank you so much to our team of judges. Congratulations again to the teams for making this far, and by virtue of that, they are familiar with the rules. So I now turn it over to the judges. All the best to both teams.
Thanks again, Tomika. I'm sure the teams are very much cognizant of the rules, but your viewing audience might not be familiar. So I'll go through the rules for you. So both teams having 3 debaters. The first debater on each team speaks for 7 minutes. The second debater speaks for 6 minutes. The third and final debater will speak for 5 minutes. After the first 2 debaters have presented their speeches, we will enter a period of cross-examination. We'll enter another period of cross-examination after the second pair of speeches have been submitted. Thereafter, we'll pause for 1 minute, and then we will resume after the 1 minute pause with the reply speaker from the opposition team, Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Foreign Trade. Then we'll conclude the debate with the final presenter in the match, the third speaker, the reply speaker from the Jamaica Bauxite Mining Limited, the proposition team. Debaters, please be mindful of the time signals. You'll hear the ding of a bell to indicate that you've spoken for 1 minute. Another ding signals you have 1 minute remaining. 2 dings indicates that you've consumed the allotted time, and 15 seconds thereafter you'll hear continuous dinging of the bell, signaling that you should stop, you should yield the floor and allow for the continuation of the debate. Teams, do you have any questions? All right, so we'll now have De Cardiego, one of our adjudicators, read the motion or the moot for you.
Right, so the motion that governs this match is, be it resolved that the central government, rather than municipal corporations, should be primarily responsible for maintaining municipal roads. Just again, for our audience sake, be it resolved that the central government, rather than municipal corporations, should be primarily responsible for maintaining municipal roads.
All right, so teams, we are ready. At this time, I call upon the first speaker from the proposition team representing the Jamaica Bauxite Mining Limited to open this debate. Hear, hear.
Mr. Speaker, distinguished adjudicators, my worthy opponents, ladies and gentlemen, good morning to you all. Today we propose the moot, be it resolved that the central government, rather than municipal corporations, should be primarily responsible for maintaining municipal roads. For clarity, principally responsible means being the main person or entity accountable for a specific duty, task, or outcome. And municipal roads are those roads which are managed by local authorities and provide essential connectivity, linking local economies to the national road network. Our arguments are as follows. Firstly, the current municipal road maintenance model is no longer fit for purpose. Secondly, municipal road maintenance requires a level of technical, financial, and institutional capacity that municipal corporations are not equipped to provide. My second speaker will show that several municipal roads are critical drivers of national economic development and should therefore be treated as national economic responsibility. And finally, national oversight of municipal roads creates stronger accountability and more effective governance. Mr. Speaker, we argue within the Jamaican context this matter, which is an economical pain point in the heart of every citizen in this country, not abstract emotional reasoning of scarce benefits and spoils, nor job creation, which creates no economic value added. Contextually, Jamaica has approximately 22,000 kilometers of roads within the parochial road network for which municipal corporations are responsible, while there are approximately between 5,000 to 5,300 kilometers of roads within the main road network for which central government is responsible. Mr. Speaker, the status quo is glaringly unbalanced as the municipal corporations with meager financial and administrative resources have the primary responsibility for maintaining the majority of the country's road networks while competing with other local responsibilities, markets, planning, approvals, etc. This is not unique to Jamaica. The situation exists in Trinidad and Tobago and also in Barbados. For in Barbados, the IDB reports that Barbados has recognized that road maintenance challenge requires stronger central coordination, institutional strengthening, and national level intervention. Jamaica in 2026 faces the challenge of ensuring that the responsibility for road maintenance rests with the institution most capable of delivering the desired maintenance outcomes. And so my first argument, Mr. Speaker, is that the current municipal road maintenance model is no longer fit for purpose. Mr. Speaker, a model can only be considered as fit for purpose if it consistently delivers on the outcomes for which it was established. To ensure that municipal roads are safe, functional, accessible, and adequately maintained for the people they serve. But after decades, the evidence suggests that this model has not been able to meet the listed objectives. If it cannot, the model is not fit for purpose. Mr. Speaker, the evidence of failure is clear. While there is a litany of problems, time will allow us to name just a few. Poor physical condition, vulnerable to flooding and extreme weather, poor drainage infrastructure, maintenance backlogs. These incidents are not isolated. And the result is a road network that Jamaicans would agree is falling below any acceptable standard. Hence, when a system consistently produces the same unsatisfactory outcomes, the problem moves from operational now to structural. Mr. Speaker, the opposition will ask for more funding to municipal corporations as their solutions. However, money cannot compensate for weak planning, inadequate oversight, and poor prioritization. It must be like pouring water
On
into
that
leaking bucket with the underlying problems remaining. Question?
Yes, wouldn't you be increasing inefficiencies by putting one central authority responsibility over every single road in Jamaica?
All right, we're not, as you will find in my speech, we're not looking at every single road. We will be prioritizing the roads according to certain criteria, and my next speakers will clarify. Mr. Speaker, the opposition will, however, money cannot compensate for weak planning, inadequate oversight, and poor prioritization. It would be like pouring water into a leaking bucket, as I've said. We have shown quite clearly that weak planning, inadequate asset management, vulnerability to weather events, and especially limited institutional capacity have resulted in a large backlog of deteriorating municipal roads across Jamaica. Which
On that
takes me
point,
straight to the proposition's second point, Mr. Speaker, that the municipal road maintenance requires a level of technical, financial, and institutional capacity that municipal corporations are not equipped to provide. Go ahead.
just to be clear, in your case, all municipal roads would be under central government, yes?
That's not what we're saying. That's not what we're saying, which hinges on the first question I responded to. A most recent performance audit report by the Auditor General revealed that both road systems experience maintenance challenges. However, while the Auditor General found some quality assurance weaknesses and indicated some project planning weaknesses such as design, planning, and monitoring within central government road maintenance processes, the parochial roads was a different matter altogether. Glaring governance and maintenance failures such as lack of comprehensive information on condition of the roads, they can't fix it if they don't know it. Inadequate strategic planning and prioritization, if they don't know, they cannot plan for it, systematically denied over the long run. No sustainability. Poor documentation and accountability. Do we know how tax dollars were spent, where and to whom? In some cases, non-transparent methods of how roads are selected for repairs, not denied. More money will not fix these, and the list goes on. And so, Mr. Speaker, with the irrefutable facts presented, we argue that the municipal corporations, limping at best, do not possess adequate management, technical governance and capacity, nor financial resources to bear the heavy responsibility of maintaining all 22,000 kilometers of parochial roads across Jamaica. The governance oversight has failed. The proposition rejects any argument by the opposition which seeks to circumvent these facts. Because, Mr. Speaker, where municipal roads fail, the consequences are local, but the economic damage is national. This debate is not focused on who owns the roads. It is about who can maintain the roads more effectively and efficiently. The evidence shows that the capacity required is national. The economic consequences are national, and as a result, the responsibility should primarily be national. And so, with that said, Mr. Speaker, my next capable speaker of the proposition will win this debate by arguing that several municipal roads are critical drivers of national economic development and should therefore be treated as a national responsibility. Thank you.
Indeed, we thank you, first proposition speaker, for that presentation. We now call upon the first opposition speaker to open the innings on behalf of Team Opposition, Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Foreign Trade.
Where is your model? Here you are talking about meager finances of the municipal corporation. The proposition has diagnosed under-resourcing, but here prescribing centralization. Make it make sense for us, right? We heard you mention that, okay, you are offering more funding to us. Good, we're gonna get to the meat of the matter in a moment. Also, you mentioned about failure, right? So, because failure caused by under-resourcing is not solved by, failure is not solved by removing the responsibility proposition. It's solved by giving municipal corporations adequate funding, technical support, equipment, performance standards, and any other necessary support. So we're not here defending failure. We are here defending the correct level of responsibility. And I hear you mention something about Barbados. Good. But the case here from the Ministry of Transport and Works in Barbados says Barbados has more centralized road maintenance structure than Jamaica. Yet still they faced long maintenance gaps, and it weakens the idea that central control alone solves road neglect. So they have not come to us with a model. They're here proposing to give us more money, which is where we're getting to. So the opposition is here defending this morning local responsibility with central support. On this side, we reject the moot. We say that municipal corporations are being primarily responsible for municipal roads is a more organic, democratic, and efficient model. Thus, primary or day-to-day responsibility for municipal roads must remain within municipal corporations. The real problem, Mr. Speaker, in the status quo is not with the function of local government, but that local government lacks adequate resources. This problem can be solved by central government increasing its funding of local government and increasing the fees and fines that municipal corporations can collect so that they can be more self-sufficient. Considering what we heard from the first speaker of the proposition and didn't hear from him, it's very important for us to be very clear that the proposition needs to prove two main things. One, municipal authorities are unable to manage the roads under their primary responsibility. Two, on a day-to-day basis, the central government would be more accountable and more efficient than municipal corporations at maintaining the thousands of municipal roads across Jamaica. If municipal corporations can fulfill their responsibilities in road maintenance, then there is no need for a shift, my opponents, in primary responsibility.
On that point,
Accepted.
you have not yet proven that they have actually worked. We've proven that there is failure. And as a matter of fact, what we've proven is that there is a structural problem which we will fix when we propose our model in the second speaker's speech.
Failure is not a reason to remove primary responsibility, my opponents. Failure is a reason to correct what is broken in the system to make it functional. And I continue. So if the central government is not likely to be more accountable and efficient than municipal corporations, then shifting responsibility would be a complete waste of time, opponents. Thus, for the opposition to win this debate, we need only to show either that one, municipal corporations can fulfill their responsibilities in road maintenance, and two, shifting primary responsibility to central government will not solve any problem. I will argue that municipal corporations have the capacity to maintain municipal roads. My second speaker will argue that shifting primary responsibility to central government will only create an inefficient bureaucracy that will increase the risk and impact of corruption. On our side, we are here defending the principle of subsidiarity, namely that the most decentralized level of authority capable of solving a problem should be responsible for that problem. This general principle of social organization is reflected in the structure of the EU, the US federal structure of government, and even in the moral and social teaching of major world religions such as Christianity. Applying this principle to our debate, we will develop the arguments to show that municipal corporations should have responsibility for municipal roads because they are the most decentralized body capable of managing municipal roads. Now, the first argument, municipal corporations have greater local knowledge. In the Jamaican context, municipal roads are not abstract lines on a map, my opponents. From the Grill to Morant Point, our roads create access to schools, farms, churches, clinics, markets, transport centers, and homes. These are the roads where local knowledge of local needs matter. A road problem in Portland may be a landslide. A road problem in St. Elizabeth may affect farm access. A road problem in Kingston and St. Andrew may be traffic congestion and urban drainage. One central authority cannot understand every local condition better than the municipal corporation with boots on the ground. Municipal corporations are made up of councillors and mayors, elected by local communities, and based in the parishes they serve are closer to the lived realities of the people.
On that point?
Not accepted. They know which community roads need urgent patching before a transportation route collapses, which shortcuts school children use, and which roads flood after a rain event. Opponents, we risk a one-size-fits-all planning from HQ in Kingston that misses local nuances if we hand primary responsibility to central government. Not accepted. My second argument, municipal corporations are more accountable to local communities. Municipal corporations are the first responders of local governance. Let us not forget that the municipal corporations are not distant bureaucracies. They are embedded in the communities in which they serve. This is why municipal corporations have a greater incentive than central government to appropriately maintain and develop municipal roads because these roads are crucial to the local economy, connecting farmers, vendors, transportation operators, and other businesses. The strength of the local economy contributes to the financial viability of municipal corporations in the form of fees, fines, and property taxes connected to businesses in which municipal corporations regulate. The central government is not integrated into each local community. That it will see its very survival as connected to maintaining every municipal road. Furthermore, if the central government takes away the management of roads from municipal corporations, my opponents, it disconnects citizens from being a part of the local decision-making planning process. So let's consider a farmer in a rural community. They have a vested interest in the conditions of municipal roads as it directly impacts their ability to transport their goods and services to their customers. If municipal corporations have primary responsibility, these farmers have direct access to the chief decision makers in the forms of councillors and mayors. And so if primary responsibility is shifted from municipal corporations to central government, they no longer enjoy that access. That is the real harm, the ability to influence decisions that affect one's livelihood. The proximity that ordinary citizens have to their councillors also creates pressure. A pothole can sit for months. Citizens can demand answers from their councillor and municipal office. But if we shift primary responsibility to central government, we introduce added layers of bureaucracy, my opponents. More delays, more filing, more callback tomorrow. In Jamaica, Mr. Speaker, we already know the frustration that builds up when responsibility is nowhere near the people affected. Furthermore, if ordinary citizens can use their freedom to pressure councillors to act in their interests, imagine the good they can do. So on that notion, on that point, Mr. Speaker, the motion calls for centralizing power in a manner that's not suitable. And as such, we proudly oppose this motion.
We thank the first speaker from the opposition team for her submission. We now invite the teams to engage in the first segment of cross-examination. In this segment, the opposition team, that's the Minister of Foreign Affairs and Foreign Trade, gets a chance to ask 3 questions first of the proposition team, the Jamaica Bauxite Mining Limited. Each question is limited to 10 seconds, each response limited to 45 seconds. Team opposition, you may pose your questions now.
Yes, we weren't arguing about some. If you read the motion as it's written, it says primary maintenance responsibility. That is what we're here debating. And when we try to muddy the water and include a bunch of things I heard the opposition leader start with, nobody said we're taking away management, nobody said we're taking away councils from people, and the impact of municipal corporations as it relates to recommending roads. And I point to the Spark program as a perfect example of community engagement that led to roads being developed at a national level. And it saddens me that the opposition would come to this debate and in no way, shape, or form talk about the primary responsibility, not management, maintenance. Because at the end of the day, the roads, whether it's municipal or it is national roads, they still would come under the purview of the government of Jamaica.
Mighty name of Jesus. Okay. Isn't there a risk that giving central government responsibility over all municipal roads and main roads will not work?
There's a risk for every decision. That doesn't mean we don't make a decision. What we're saying is that the greater risk is leaving the status quo as is. If the status quo worked, there would be no recommendation for one road authority in the first place. And that is something that we have to look at. You mentioned Barbados and tried to debunk our point, but you didn't listen to what the IDB said. IDB said to solve some of Barbados' challenges, they'd have needed to centralize better and do more, which means that, as we said, there's a structural problem in Barbados, in Trinidad, in Jamaica, that we are going to solve in our second speaker speech. We're talking about the structure of what exists and how we can standardize maintenance, because at the local level, we haven't even gotten into corruption. We haven't even gotten into the 200 million that was fleeced at St. Catherine Municipal Corporation. So if you want to talk about that, then we can get into a further conversation about why it won't be maintained properly.
So isn't it a better use of resources to strengthen what already exists rather than to experiment with something that we don't know can or will work?
Well, that is why countries like Finland has a model that we can borrow. And that is why you do your research and you look at things that can work. Because if we have something for 50 years that has not worked, and you're going to suggest that for the next 50 years in order to develop and to grow nationally, we're going to stick with the status quo and we're just going to put more funding in it so we can have more corruption like St. Catherine, like Portmore Municipality, all of those lists that we have that exist, then of course you would have a problem. The status quo doesn't work. It has failed. We have driven on the roads. My God, when I drove here, that is the problem. We have to solve the initial problem, which through only structural reform can we do it, because financing alone can't do it. My first speaker said it's like throwing water in a bucket that already has holes in the bottom, and that is how we fix the problem.
All right, so we thank both teams for this phase of cross-examination. We continue now with the questions coming from the proposition team Jamaica Bauxite Mining Limited.
The opposition has emphasized local control, but at what point does scale and complexity of the public service outweigh the benefits that we have to the local administration?
I don't quite follow the question, to be honest with you. In our system, at least under the status quo, in particular cases, certain municipal roads can be designated as main roads, and we have no difficulty with that. What we have a challenge with, what we say is inefficient, is taking all municipal roads and putting them under one central authority. We say that won't work, and that will destroy local democracy.
If maintenance is fundamentally a matter of local responsibility, what role should national consequences then play in determining accountability when the system fails?
Let's be very clear here now. Having local government being principally responsible for municipal roads doesn't dispense with any role for central government in helping to coordinate the efforts of municipal corporations and supporting their activities. The key point here is who should be responsible for the day-to-day management of roads? Who should have the principal responsibility for deciding which road construction should proceed, which should not? We say on that, which is what you guys have failed to demonstrate so far, should remain with municipal corporations supported by central government.
Well, we'll get to that point, but is the opposition defending the principle of local governance or defending the effectiveness of the current maintenance agreement? And how do you distinguish between the two?
Let's be very clear here. We're defending two things. One, the principle that local administration should handle municipal roads. Two, we say structurally, local government has more capacity to respond to varying needs of municipal roads over central government. That was the point of the first speaker's presentation on our side. Local knowledge, local accountability, the pressure from citizens. All of these things impact upon their ability to efficiently attend to all municipal roads. If you create a situation in which one central authority is responsible for all roads, they will necessarily have to prioritize among the roads in Jamaica. It means, therefore, residential communities far from commercial centers will be ignored in favor of major thoroughfares. It's natural, it's inevitable. Municipal corporations on the ground can cater to all the needs of the roads in Jamaica.
Thank you very much, and I feel that's a genuine sentiment of mine. I really appreciated this segment of cross-examination. We now continue this debate, inviting the second proposition speaker to take the lectern to deliver their speech. Hear.
Ladies and gentlemen, my first speaker has already established that municipal road maintenance model is no longer fit for purpose and that municipal corporations do not possess the financial institutional capacity to maintain over 22,000 kilometers of roads. Mr. Speaker, at the crux of today's debate lies a fundamental question of national economic development and accountability in governance, right? When we ask the question who should bear the responsibility, then the answer becomes abundantly clear. The central government should bear this responsibility because, one, municipal roads are critical drivers of national economic development, as the opposition has clearly outlined earlier today, and two, national oversight creates stronger accountability and more effective governance, as the whip speaker continues to ask of us today. So point one, Mr. Speaker, several municipal roads are critical drivers of national economic development. I want to take this opportunity to again emphasize that roads aren't solely for beautification. They are the backbone of a country's infrastructure, connecting people, goods, and services. They are not merely local conveniences like public sanitation or parking lots. Every day in Jamaica, our roads carry the weight, not at this time, the weight of our economy. In Manchester and St. Elizabeth, farmers depend on municipal roads to move agricultural goods, and the agricultural sector contributes to 7% of Jamaica's GDP, and without reliable roads, that supply chain collapses economic development at a crash right here. Workers rely on these roads to access employment, to help sustaining productivity in both the public and private sector. The tourism industry, which contributes to 30% of the GDP, depends on safe access to destinations in St. James, St. Anne, Westmoreland, not at this time. And if you have traveled to Negril recently, ladies and gentlemen, I'm sure you probably need to get some maintenance on your cars because those roads are currently destroyed, and that affects our national economy. And if the impact is national, ladies and gentlemen, then why should the responsibility then be fragmented and local? It is logical and fair and economically sound that the national government, who manages macroeconomic policy, national infrastructure and capital investment, should also
On
take
that
primary
point,
responsibility for the roads that keep the economy moving. Accepted?
The mere fact that national government has to deal with macroeconomic stability, etc., doesn't prove, therefore, that they have capacity to manage all local roads. Moreover, if you focus on the fact that municipal...
Thank you so much for that. At this time, I'd just like to remind everybody that we are debating about what is primary responsibility. We are not saying we're eliminating the role of the municipalities overall, but we're talking about where will we find who is accountable, who will we hold really in, not at this time, who will we hold truly accountable at the end of the day when these systems continue to fail. Thank you so much. Point 2, Mr. Speaker. The national oversight creates stronger accountability and more effective governance. Beyond economics lies governance, and in this regard, the system is broken. The governance system of the roads is very clearly broken. The responsibility of roads is dispersed amongst the municipal corporations, National Works Agency, central government ministries, and multiple funding channels. Not accepted. This has only led to confusion, and confusion, ladies and gentlemen, is the enemy of accountability. As we have come to see time and time again, when roads deteriorate, responsibility is shifted, not assumed. Municipal bodies argue that lack of transfers from central government is a challenge. Then we hear the central government point to failure at the local level, and then we become entangled in a bureaucratic tug of war. Mr. Speaker, this is the fusion of accountability. And for any democracy to function, accountability must be clear. Shifting the responsibility to central government is creating this, ladies and gentlemen: one authority, one budget line, one standard of performance, and one point of accountability. This eliminates the duplication, reduces bureaucratic delays, and ends political blame shifting. Now, ladies and gentlemen, let's get into the framework, not accepted, where we will talk about the role of the municipalities. Let me clarify, Mr. Speaker. To say that central government should be responsible does not mean that municipalities will have no role, and I think this is a question that you really want to be answered. There is still space for the municipalities. Research shows that successful systems are those where the state assumes responsibility for municipal roads, which we are discussing, of national economic importance, while municipalities remain scaled down in responsibilities. So now in 2026, we are proposing that we have the one road authority, and under this authority, we propose that primarily responsibility will exist within central government, and municipalities will sit on the parish level oversight committee that will be responsible for reviewing maintenance schedules, monitoring performance, and providing feedback to central authority. Establish a formal reporting channel where municipalities log citizens' complaints, road hazards, and local priorities. The central authority must respond within a set time frame, ensuring local voices are heard. So we're covering where you're saying that the people won't have a voice in it. We will conduct audits. They will conduct audits of road conditions in their jurisdiction and submit findings to the One Road Authority. This creates transparency without shifting responsibility. Additionally, they will monitor the works being executed by the One Road Authority in their parish, ensuring compliance with standards and the community needs. Where we have the One Road Authority, they become the lead maintenance authority. Municipal corporations identify local priorities. Funding is centrally located. Maintenance standards are nationally set. Road conditions and assessments are nationally coordinated. Municipal corporations become implementation and reporting partners. Mr. Speaker, municipal roads are national arteries of growth. Their failure is in fact a national crisis. Central government, rather than municipalities, should be responsible for maintaining these municipal roads, because when roads fail, the economy fails. And when accountability is diffused, governance fails. The responsibility must therefore be national. Thank you so much.
We thank the second speaker from Team Proposition, and now call upon the second speaker from the opposition side to submit a response. Here.
Mr. Speaker, worthy opponents, roads are important, but not all roads serve the same function. Highways and main roads are national assets, yes, but municipal roads are local access routes. Now, their importance does not erase the need for local knowledge. The proposition argues that roads are national assets and so should be under central national authority. Take this example. Children are national assets. But their parents have the primary responsibility for raising them because they have the capacity. They are more in tune with the needs of their children. Therefore, municipal corporations are more in tune with the needs of their local municipalities. We'll get to that some more. The proposition mentions the central government taking steps from the IDB and Finland. The central government is already far removed from the local municipal realities. How much more the IDB and Finland models? This sounds, Mr. Speaker, like a knee-jerk reaction of the central government, realizing that all these years, the support that was needed to strengthen municipal corporations had been lacking. But what do they propose? Do they propose correcting their actions? No. They propose overhauling and taking over primary responsibility. To this, we say no. Not at this time. Now, Mr. Speaker, we are discussing primary responsibility as your first speaker, as the first proposition speaker defined, right? So I rise to join my leader in rejecting this moot, lest it be forgotten that my leader of the opposition made an essential contribution in raising the principle of subsidiarity, that the most centralized, decentralized body, or the body closest to citizens, can solve the problems and should be responsible for solving that problem. Her arguments are sufficient to prove that municipal corporations, which are closer to the citizens, already have the capacity to manage municipal roads and therefore should be primarily responsible for them. We reiterate that any deficiency in municipal road maintenance should be addressed by improving the ability of municipal corporations to be financially self-sufficient. Despite the comprehensive case of my leader of the opposition, we have not heard any compelling rebuttal from the last speaker. Indeed, the proposition has failed to demonstrate that both municipal corporations failed to demonstrate both that the municipal corporations lack the capacity to manage municipal roads and the central government would be more accountable and efficient than local government in the management of these municipal roads. The central government is already burdened and struggling in their responsibility to cover their own primary responsibilities, let alone to add the critical and complex task of maintaining parochial roads, already covered by municipal corporations. Does central government even know where some of these complex road networks are located? Do they understand how these roads connect schools, farmlands, residences, and vendors? No. However, the municipal corporations do, because it is their primary domain where they connect and understand the day-to-day realities of the communities under their jurisdiction. Taken.
Just going off the example that you gave about the child and being in the home, I have this question here. If the child is there and their parents are failing to develop them in the proper way that they should be, doesn't the child services agencies get involved and take the child, and then the child becomes the responsibility of the state?
And that's where your example fails. You are proposing punitive measures instead of building capacity. The parents are still the primary responsibilities of the children. Children are still the primary responsibilities of the parents. So let me extend this case by showing how attempting to shift any primary responsibility for municipal roads to central government will only create a bloated and inefficient bureaucracy. My arguments, Mr. Speaker, should be treated as an extended rebuttal of the proposition's arguments, which depend on an excessive view of the capacities of central government. My argument, the central government already has primary responsibility for 770 main roads. So shifting responsibility will create an inefficient bureaucracy. These 770 main roads amount to 5,000 kilometers of road. Municipal or parochial roads comprise approximately 10,000 kilometers of road, making up 2/3 of Jamaica's entire road network. Thus, to add this to central government's primary responsibility means that the central government will assume principal responsibility for the day-to-day management of virtually all the roads in the country. That's not what the moot is arguing. The central government is already stretched in terms of its responsibilities. The Auditor General reports that the operations of the NWA, National Works Agency, notes that significant cost overruns have been identified and other inefficiencies plague these operations.
And on that point?
It is likely then that significantly increasing the responsibilities of central government over all roads in Jamaica will increase delays and inefficiencies as the central government will be overwhelmed by the duties they intend to assume. Go ahead, please. Okay. Further shifting responsibility to the central government will require a large bureaucracy. This bureaucracy is less likely to be responsive to municipal corporations, as it will need to prioritize among all roads it will manage. This means likely many roads will not be attended to, or there will be even more delays at present managing said roads. As a reminder, municipal roads are predominantly roads used in residential communities and towns. In the proposition scheme, it is natural for major thoroughfares to receive the greatest attention, with roads mostly being used by residential communities and towns from major commercial centers, and the others be deprioritized. This undermines the equity and leaves the most vulnerable persons in our society without sufficient attention and care. Now, we have examples of systems like this in Zimbabwe, where they implemented this model that the proposition is suggesting, and it was a significant failure because Zimbabwe shifted responsibility from a local government system to a centralized authority, and this caused greater inefficiency. So, we reject this model on the grounds that we outlined. Thank you.
All right, we thank the second speaker from Team Opposition for that submission. We continue now with the second segment of cross-examination. In this segment, the proposition team, that's the Jamaica Bauxite Mining Limited, gets to ask their 3 questions first of the opposition team, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Foreign Trade. The rules with respect to timing remains the same as would have obtained in the first instance of cross-examination. So, team proposition, you may proceed.
If your position is that municipal corporations require additional resources, what confidence should this House have that additional resources will resolve the institutional weaknesses identified by the Auditor General and we've seen at corruption in St. Catherine, etc.?
For the simple reason that we've outlined that they have greater structural capacity than central government or central government authority to manage the roads in their particular locality. Remember, on your side, one central authority must manage all roads. On our side, municipal corporations just need to manage the roads in their parish, nothing more. We say they have the local knowledge, the democratic accountability. With additional funding, they can fix the job. On your side, you're taking up this big old sledgehammer to deal with what we say is a fairly manageable problem. Therefore, on your side, you're proposing something unnecessary.
Right, as much as we disagree, we've been putting this accountability argument. We've not heard from you what right. What is your model for accountability that we've seen failed at St. Catherine and the Portmore municipalities and St. Ann municipality?
If I'm understanding your question, you seem to be working on the premise that, i.e., some sort of failure somewhere demonstrates a lack of capacity in relation to corruption. We say, under your model, you increase the risk of corruption because you have greater inefficiency. 2, you also increase the impact of corruption. If one municipal corporation fails in terms of integrity, the roads in that particular parish are compromised. One central authority is compromised, the entire road network is compromised. Unless you're going to be making the case that central government faces no risk of corruption, we say corruption, that issue, favors our side.
As we disagree, in a system where different municipal corporations possess different levels of resources, expertise, and administrative capability, how do you ensure that there is standardized level of roads across the island, which currently doesn't exist as we...
What's fascinating about that entire question is that it gets at the root of the problem that your side has. We have no difficulty with national standard setting by central government. We have no even difficulty with our side, with even some oversight. None of that entails central government taking primary responsibility for all municipal roads across the island. That's the case you have to prove.
We thank the 2 teams. I'm sorry, I tried. Thanks to both teams for that phase of cross-examination. Let's now hear the questions coming to us from the opposition team posed to team proposition.
Isn't local democracy something worth protecting?
Yes, and that is why we've proposed the One Road Authority model. And of course, as we talk about local democracy, we talk about the fact that under the One Road Authority, we have created a system that will exist that allow that on the councils at the local level, the roads are proposed by the citizens through the very councillors at that level. And that says that primary responsibility does not mean we take away the power from the local authorities. They still have the authority to input and to give us roads similar to what happened with the Sparks program, and that is something that we are proud of because we want the citizens to be involved in the decision making as it relates to roads maintenance, which roads need to be maintained. But what we want to have is standardization, singular funding, and a way in which we can help all citizens in a way that can benefit the entire economy.
Okay. Wouldn't taking away responsibility for municipal road maintenance entail that municipal corporations and local communities no longer have the power that they would have at present?
I don't understand what you mean by the power present, because all you're speaking of is funding and the ability to do the roads. We're saying that still exists. It is just that we have a standardized model for it, a model that works best. What we're saying is that the funding now would be centralized. We're saying that the management and maintenance with the engineers, etc., will be centralized, and it will be better across the board, because what we will set up is a standardized system that can work better. Procurement processes can work better. And when you think about it, you'll just have a bunch of things happening, a lot of corruption happening. We can centralize the process. Accountability now lies with the One Road Authority, and we can move away from the political blame shifting between this council and that councillor. MP say they're not doing the road. Council say they're not doing the road because it's not their road. We now know that the road stands in one authority.
Assuming for the moment that taking away responsibility actually takes away some degree of power, right? Wouldn't taking away road maintenance from local governments create the precedent that you can erode further functions using the same arguments you've outlined, destroying local government altogether?
We're not arguing that. You're arguing an entirely different thing. We're not arguing about taking away the powers from local government. We're talking about roads. Let's stay on roads. The primary responsibility of roads, my opposition. You need to understand that when we talk about primary responsibility, we are talking about standardization, we're talking about funding, and we're talking about better. Why has the opposition not yet proved to us why the model that existed for 50 plus years that has not worked, how that will continue to work? Because throwing funding at something doesn't make it work, and we see examples of this. We did a digital currency in Jamaica and it has not worked, and that is something that you're proposing again, that we continue this status quo model that has not worked and will not continue to work. But what we are proposing as the government is a solution, which is the One Road Authority that...
All right, yes. A round of applause indeed. As we make our way to the pause, teams, we'll take a 1 minute pause. Thereafter, we'll resume with the reply speakers coming to us from either team, beginning with the opposition first. All right, so teams, your 1 minute pause begins now. All right, gentlemen, ladies, it's time for us to resume this debate. So at this time, let us make welcome the third speaker, the reply speaker, coming to us from the opposition team, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Foreign Trade. Hear, hear.
Mr. Speaker, there are two main issues I'd like to discuss at this juncture of the debate. This question of who has greater structural capacity to manage local roads, and the question also of, in relation to shifting responsibility, the central government, would it be more efficient and accountable in meeting the needs? Now, what's interesting, those two questions, a lot depends on this question of structural capacity. So I'm going to spend most of my time on that question. Let's start out with the arguments from our side. We said, firstly, that what proposition needs to prove is not merely that municipal corporations have failed in the past. Why? Because central government has also failed in the past. Road maintenance is a general problem in Jamaica. So what really is at issue here is, does municipal corporations have the capacity to manage those roads? Helpfully, they've clarified on their side that what they really mean here is structural capacity, right? Do they have the institutional framework to manage the problem? So what are our arguments on that issue? We say, one, because they're actually based in local communities, they have the requisite local knowledge. Two, we say because they're part of the local democratic process, they're far more receptive to the needs of the local population. In fact, there are greater incentives there to actually attend to those needs. Three, we say because of that proximity to the local population, that creates organic pressure to manage the roads effectively. So the real reason we say, insofar as there's been any failure in relation to managing roads, is because they've not received sufficient funding. And we've offered a simple solution here. Not just increasing funding from central government, but increasing the capacity of local government to collect more fees and fines so they can be a little bit more self-sufficient. A lot of that depends on actually legislative enactments from central government. We move further, and we made the argument crucially here that if you shift responsibility to central government, you have a major problem. This problem of inefficiency. They'd have to manage all the roads. Now, this is very crucial here. They want to dodge that issue. They don't want to face up to their actual burden in this match. So they give you a money and say, oh, yeah, man, local government is going to be a part of it at some level. But, you know, they still have power. Really? They're no longer making the decisions concerning road construction. They're no longer managing the process. You're taking away power. You actually have not dealt with the problem. Moreover, when you say primary responsibility, their first speaker clarified what that meant. Main responsibility, the main actor. You're saying central government must manage all roads, and they haven't bothered to face up to that burden and explain to you why. One, that's absolutely necessary under the circumstances, and two, there are going to be some significant advantages. So when we outline clear examples of it failing, your counter can't just be, well, we have to do something, because we've given you a solution. A simple solution. On your side, you haven't clarified how taking this extraordinary step of giving central government responsibility for all roads, something that has not yet been done, is actually going to increase efficiency. We go further. They bring up this point about accountability and corruption. We've made arguments in cross-examination concerning the fact that gross inefficiencies are already plaguing the National Works Agency. By the way, you realize they haven't even gone into detail of where this responsibility is going to lie. National Works Agency is some other entity, this one entity controlling everything. Don't bother clarifying that at all. But crucially here, assuming it's National Works Agency, yes, there's already inefficiencies there. Taking responsibility for all roads is going to increase that inefficiency. You're going to increase the risk of corruption. We added argumentation showing that unless you're going to make the case that central government has no risk of corruption, the impact of corruption over the entire management of the road network is going to be severely compromised. Under our model, there's a division of responsibility between central government and local government, between the different municipal corporations. We say even in the case where some municipal corporation gets compromised, when they can be voted out, and more importantly, the corruption is contained under their model, the thing affects everything. So when we talk about unbalance here, who has met their burden? We've given you solid argumentation showing that they have the structural capacity, no compelling rebuttal on their side. Their best argument appears to be municipal corporations have failed from time to time. That doesn't prove their case, especially when they have a higher burden. They need to go beyond failure of municipal corporations, crucially, and they make the additional argument that central government managing all the roads in the island would be far more efficient, far more democratic, far more accountable. Even in their model, they have to rely on certain forms of local government infrastructure to have access to people and their needs. So then what is the point of this added layer of authority? What is the point of this added layer of bureaucracy? We say improve the capacity of local government. They can attend to the needs of the local population. Thank you.
We thank you very much, the third speaker that was from the opposition team. And now to conclude our debate, let us now welcome the third speaker from the proposition team. Hear, hear.
Mr. Speaker, good morning all. I want to just start this debate by saying that the moot says central government should be primarily responsible for maintaining municipal roads. Now, I've realized that there is an issue with primary versus secondary and how that works. And what we've said is primary responsibility, and we'll maintain that. This debate is not about ownership, it's about capability. So the first question I'll look at is proximity versus capacity. What we have not heard from the opposition is that municipal corporations are the ones that actually have the capacity. We've not heard them tell us about the engineers. We've not heard them tell us about any way, shape, or form in which the model works. They have not given us one singular solitary example to say that the model, the status quo, is working perfectly. What we've given on the proposition side is many examples to show that in recent times when they've done the calculations, the 22,000 kilometers of municipal roads, that we're having significant challenges, significant protests. And we've seen recently with the Troy Bridge as well that even so, the central government still has that. We don't have the same corruption problems as well with the National Works Agency. You'll hear that, okay, you said they were over budget, but you did not hear that they stole $200 million as we heard with the St. Catherine Municipal Corporation. That's totally different things. Now, as we continue, our argument looked at the Auditor General findings saying that there's weak planning, prioritization, documentation, accountability, and road condition assessments. We know, and if you ask, that you can just give out a contract at a local level and then you don't get proper return on investment, and we don't want that. We want accountability. So the opposition confuses proximity with competence. Knowing where the pothole is does not mean you possess the capacity to fix it. Why we win is because local knowledge is valuable, which is why under the ORA, we say that we are going to have our local authority sitting on the parish level road oversight committee that will be responsible for reviewing, maintenance schedule, monitoring performance, and providing feedback to the central authority. We literally said that, and if you were listening, you'd have heard that. And that is saying that the capacity is at the central government level, where of course you'll have those engineers, you'll have those project managers that exist. As a matter of fact, because we're proposing a new model, more people can be hired. Come on. Mr. Speaker, clash number 2, more funding versus better governance. The opposition is saying, listen, municipal corporations just need more money. No, we spoke to that. We said, listen, if you have a big empty thing and you just throw more water in there because you want water and it has a hole in the bottom, the water is going to fall out. The government is saying that this is not fundamentally a funding problem. It's a governance and capacity problem, and you have not actually rebutted that properly. Evidence exists that there's poor road inventories, poor planning, poor prioritization, poor monitoring, poor documentation. The principle is that when a system consistently produces the same unsatisfactory outcomes for 50 plus years, the problem moves from being operational to structural. Now, money cannot compensate for weak planning. Money cannot compensate for poor prioritization. Money cannot compensate for inadequate oversight. Giving money to a flawed system is pouring water in a leaking bucket. Why we win is that what we're saying is that we're centralizing the funding under the One Road Authority and allowing for it to have a proper space in which it can be managed effectively, and then we'll have the local authorities reporting in and holding us accountable, and that matters. The third clash, local roads versus national responsibility. Now, municipal roads are local roads and should remain local roads, but that doesn't change the fact that they're significant. The evidence we gave was St. Anne, Manchester agricultural activity, Kingston commerce and mobility, and the principle is that responsibility should follow consequence. The road may be municipal, but the consequences of its failure are often national. We've made that point very clear. The location of a road may be local, but its importance often extends beyond the parish. Why we win is because we have shown you clearly why the consequences extend beyond municipalities. In my second speaker speech, we spoke about the economic ability of roads to move things left, right, and center, and why there's an economic imperative for the national level government to step in and take that oversight level, that standardization level, to ensure that these roads are maintained effectively, because as it currently stands in the status quo, 50 plus years, it has not worked, and the opposition has not showed us any municipality that has fixed and maintained roads effectively with $100 million. So we give them $1 billion, what do we expect to happen? That is going to be maintained well. The fourth clash is the fragmented responsibility versus national accountability. Now, decentralization improves responsiveness. That's what the opposition says. The government says responsiveness without accountability produces poor outcomes. So we say under the One Road Authority, we have the municipalities on the parish committees. We have them recommending the roads. We have them holding the authority accountable. So we don't take away everything from them, because they have many other things to do. They have markets, they have all these other responsibilities. So it's not just roads, and we understand that, and that's why we want to make it better by proposing a better system. And Mr. Speaker, we definitely win this debate, because when we look at all the matters, the opposition is asking who is closest to the roads. We are asking you who is better to maintain them primarily. And proximity does not equal capacity. More funding does not fix weak governance. And where the consequences of failure extend beyond municipal boundaries, responsibility must extend beyond municipal boundaries. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for concluding this debate. Thanks to both teams for an exciting exchange of questions and answers and ideas overall. At this time, I turn over to Tamika to bring us to the pause in this debate.
Exciting indeed, Jermaine. What an exciting road trip. Give them another round of applause. Should central government take the wheel, or do municipal corporations know their streets best? Ladies and gentlemen, the arguments have been made by Team Jamaica Bauxite Mining Limited and Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Foreign Trade on the moot. Be it resolved that the central government, rather than municipal corporations, should be primarily responsible for maintaining municipal roads. What will be the destination of this moot? Who had the most potholes, or judges will indeed take a short break and deliberate, and the next voice you'll hear will be from our chief adjudicator, who will deliver the final word. Please stay tuned for the results.
Welcome back, viewers, to this, the conclusion of the match that just ended. It featured the team Jamaica Bauxite Mining Limited on proposition, and on opposition we had the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Foreign Trade. They were duking it out over the question, the moat. Should the municipal roads be chiefly managed? Should their responsibility be chiefly within the permit of the central government? Yes? And that's a question that is very topical and certainly close to the hearts of many Jamaicans who are faced daily with bad roads and not knowing necessarily who to complain to and where to pose their concerns, who to hold accountable. And so that's a question that we know you, our viewing audience, found quite interesting. Before I get to the analysis, I believe both teams are in fact deserving of a round of applause. Certainly, congratulations on getting this far in the competition. So the proposition team contends that there are concerns with respect to the capacity of local authorities to fix these roads and to keep these roads in good condition. They point to other jurisdictions, Barbados and so forth, that they contend have models that work for them, and those models they contend reflects a greater shift towards centralized management and maintenance of the roads. They say as well that there are concerns with respect to corruption, that local government authorities or municipal authorities are more susceptible to corruption, and they point to, for example, the St. Anne's Municipal Corporation, the St. Catherine Municipal Corporation, and those incidences of corruption, they say, glaring evidence of the need to shift the responsibility, broadly speaking, to central government. They say capacity was a significant tenet of their argumentation on side proposition, contending that the capacity of these local government authorities is so limited relatively to the huge quantum of roads that they need to administer. 22,000 miles or kilometers it was, kilometers of roads relative to the significantly fewer roads in terms of the kilometers managed by the central government. They say as well that central government has a huge greater capacity, and the capacity could certainly be put to the service of maintaining these roads better. Now, at this point in the debate, we're wondering, is it a question so much of capacity, or is it a question of, as opposition contends, funding and sort of regulation of the maintenance of these roads? Now, side opposition rather contends that what needs to happen, again, side opposition agreeing with the fact that the state of our roads is not up to par, not up to standard, not where we want it to be. But they say that what we need to do instead of shifting these roads over entirely to the central government, they say that the central government should provide more funding, and ultimately the central government can provide regulatory oversight over these roads, but not owning them, not taking responsibility for their maintenance. Right? Now, an important idea we get from side opposition is this idea of democratic connectedness and the democratic accountability. They point to the fact that in their world, these roads serve people most at a local level. The roads that lead people to commute and to interact and to move around, broadly speaking, and to lead their daily lives. And so insofar as this is an important facet of these roads at a community level, these roads, they say, should be managed by the municipal authority, who they say have greater intimate understanding of the condition of these roads and can better attend to them. They raise an important argument, we felt, a fairly sophisticated argument, that there is greater accountability insofar as the parish councillors and the mayors of these municipalities are more locally based and therefore can be communicated with by the citizenry to demand greater accountability and greater redress to the issues of concern with respect to the maintenance of their roads. Of course, at this point in debate, a question arises in our minds: if that exists in status quo, why are the roads in such a deteriorated state? Right? To which I think the first point of their solution on side opposition seeks to address this. We think that it's oftentimes a question of just not having the financial capacity to treat with these roads, these 22,000 kilometers of roads. And so side opposition contends the central government needs to provide more resources to the local authorities, to the municipal authorities to treat with those issues. We don't get a meaningful response from side proposition to the suggestion, the recommendation from the opposition team that more resources, more funding be provided to local authorities. Now, on the question of the democratic incentives, we feel like side opposition is onto something. Side opposition is certainly arguing from a very principled position, and we think that it was fairly well established by their side as to why it is that there is certainly every incentive for the greater maintenance of these roads, because these roads serve better the local economy. Speaking of economy, side opposition contends that these roads impact the national economy. And so the national government has an obligation, therefore, to take custody and to take management of these roads, right? Now, we think that it's probably a little symmetrical in our minds with respect to the local versus the national economy. We think that opposition proves to a greater extent the necessary sort of impact of these roads and the conditions of these roads on the local economy. Side opposition contends that, yes, these roads have a major impact on the national economy, and I think they point to Negril as being an example of that. So insofar as we think that there is a national economic impact, we think that there's a local economic impact, we think that it's a wash with respect to the economic argument and economic justification for either the central government or the local government maintaining these roads. We think that on the question of corruption reigns supreme in this debate. We think that, again, it's a bit of a wash insofar as while side proposition contends that there are incidences of gross corruption existing at the local authority level, at the municipal level, we find a decent response from opposition that corruption also exists at central government, and that also may mean that shifting these roads to central government does not necessarily eliminate the problem of corruption. Now, finally, on the question of capacity, we hear side proposition contending that there are issues of capacity. Unfortunately for side proposition, we don't understand tangibly what this issue of capacity looks like. As the ordinary intelligent voter, the OIV, as panelists of this debate, we feel like it's not the parish councillors who are themselves going to go onto the road and know how to spread the aggregate on the road and do that kind of fixing of roads. We think that it's likely to be that they will, invest in contractors and rely on contractors to do that kind of work. Insofar as side opposition is very much in support of a one road authority to establish the standardization with respect to how it is that we manage these roads, we feel like it's likely to be the case that even if it is that there are deficits with respect to many of these local contractors, that kind of regulation would effectively solve that particular concern with respect to deficits in terms of the roads. We feel as well that a lot of the capacities of the central government could also be brought to bear in treating with and in resolving the issues of concerns with respect to many of these municipal roads. So there's not a sort of a binary with respect to central government having greater capacity relative to local government. We think that there's a tremendous amount of cross-usage of resources in the status quo. All right, and so, ladies and gentlemen, we think that after a debate that really centered on several ideas around corruption, ideas around capacity, ideas around, the democratic rights of citizens to access and to hold accountable their representatives and those who are tasked with maintaining these roads, we think that it was a fairly interesting debate. A debate that ends with one team concluding with 278 points, as compared to the other team's 268 points. So a 10-point gap, ladies and gentlemen. The winners of this match in the quarterfinal round in the public sector debate competition for 2026, they are the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Foreign Trade. So congratulations to the winning team, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Foreign Trade, and very well tried to the Jamaica Bauxite Mining Limited, the proposition team. A round of applause to them as well, please. The best debate, and I'm going to invite Tomika Gunmighty, to come forward with the basket in hand to present the best debater with their prize. The best debater in this match comes to us from the winning team. Ladies and gentlemen, it is the third speaker on side opposition, Scott Mullings. And so with that, ladies and gentlemen, we draw the curtains down on this match between two teams. Unfortunately, one team's journey ends at this stage in the competition, and the other one advances to the semi-final round of the competition. As it pertains to you, our viewing audience, please stay tuned. Don't go anywhere. We will be back with you shortly with the second match of this quarterfinal round of the competition. Thank you.